All right, let's jump right in. Today we're talking about how artificial intelligence is starting to play a role in one of the most demanding intellectual journeys there is, earning a PhD.
So let's start with the big, provocative question right out front. Could an AI really be your next PhD supervisor? Now that might sound like something out of a sci-fi movie, but believe it or not, the foundations are already being put in place, especially in a model called Co-Supervision.
So, what in the world is co-supervision? Well, it's actually pretty simple. It's a team approach where a PhD student gets guidance from more than one expert. Think of it like having a personal board of directors for your research, instead of just a single boss. This model is so important because it's the perfect entry point for an AI to join the team.
Now, to really get why AI is even part of this conversation, we have to look at how the whole world of doctoral education is already being reshaped by digital tools.
A PhD is this high-stakes intellectual marathon, right? It's all about research and discovery. But for decades, the actual tools used to manage the relationship between a student and their supervisor, well, they haven't really evolved. The research we're diving into today points out a huge problem. There's a real lack of modern AI-driven tools built for this unique environment.
And this quote right here really drives that home. Back in 2019, a review by Lai and Bauer found what they called a noticeable absence of research on this very topic. It just goes to show you how new all of this is and why it's so important that we start to understand what's coming.
Okay, so let's pop the hood and see what's actually in the AI toolbox for academics right now. It's a really interesting mix of stuff you already know and some things that are a bit more futuristic.
The first wave of tech to hit PhD supervision wasn't some fancy, purpose-built AI. Nope. It was all about us repurposing the everyday tools we already used. I mean, think about it. Using Google Docs for real-time edits on a chapter, Dropbox to share huge files, Evernote to keep all your notes from getting lost. None of these were designed for academics, but they quickly became indispensable.
But then we see the shift. This is where things get really interesting, because we started getting AI that was built specifically for education. These chatbots started out doing the simple stuff, answering common questions, booking appointments, basically handling the administrative grunt work so that the human supervisors could focus on the big, brainy stuff.
So what's really pushing this change forward? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is mobile technology. Just look at this chart. You can see mobile use across the board in education, but pay attention to the far right. The highest adoption rates are at the university level.
Let's just zero in on that number for a second. 22%. That's the figure for grad students and PhD candidates. This is a group of people that is already living on their mobile devices. That makes them the absolute perfect audience for powerful AI tools they can access from anywhere.
And what are they doing on these apps? It's not just scrolling social media, that's for sure. This is core academic work. The data shows that a whopping 90% are using them for online learning. And the numbers are almost as high for project management and research. The demand for these kinds of tools is it's undeniable.
Okay, so we've looked at the tools. Now let's talk about the so what. What is the actual real-world impact of all this on that critical relationship between a student and their supervisor?
A fantastic example of this are intelligent tutoring systems, or ITS. Honestly, the best way to think about an ITS is like a personal research coach that's on call for you 24/7. It can analyze how you're doing, figure out where you're struggling, and then create a totally customized learning path just for you.
So, how does it all work under the hood? Well, this slide breaks it down pretty nicely. First, the AI crunches all the data on a student's work. Then, it analyzes that data to build a profile of their strengths and weaknesses. Next, it delivers customized content to help them improve. And here's the kicker. It also provides decision support for the human supervisor, giving them insights they might have totally missed otherwise.
But of course, it's not a perfect fairy tale. The benefits are super clear, right? Better collaboration, personalized feedback, way less admin. But the challenges, they're just as real. We're talking about huge questions around data privacy, the risk of losing that human nuance in feedback, and potentially disrupting the delicate balance of trust between a student and their mentor.
And this quote from the source paper really hammers that point home. It's a warning that both students and supervisors must adequately comprehend the implications of using these tools. The bottom line is, if we're not careful, this amazing technology could end up damaging the very human connection it's supposed to enhance.
So, if that's where we are today, what's next? What does the future of digital supervision look like? Well, you might want to buckle up, because we're heading into the Metaverse.
The next giant leap forward is this shift from the internet we know now, Web 2.0, to something called Web 3.0. And I know it sounds like just another buzzword, but this is a fundamental change. We're talking about a smarter, more decentralized, and way more immersive internet. And that has enormous implications for education.
So what does that actually mean for a PhD student?
Well, it means AI that can semantically understand complex research topics, not just match keywords. It could mean smart contracts that automate things like learning agreements. And, maybe most exciting of all, it means truly immersive learning spaces in the Metaverse. Just try to picture this for a second. Imagine a shared virtual reality lab. A student in one country and their supervisors in 2 other countries can all meet up as avatars. They can walk around a 3D model of a molecule, manipulate it together, and collaborate in a way that's just impossible over a simple video call.
But with all of this incredible, almost magical technology on the horizon, the research pulls us back to one final, absolutely essential question. What's the role of the human in this brave new world?
And the answer is crystal clear. Human oversight is more important than ever. An AI can spot patterns in data, for sure, but it can't define what success even looks like in a groundbreaking research project. It can't make the tough ethical calls that are really at the heart of good mentorship. We have to keep a human in the loop.
So, the paper leaves us with 4 really clear, actionable recommendations. 1. Supervisors and students have to learn about these tools together. 2. Universities need to create clear rules of the road. 3. AI ethics has to be a required part of the curriculum. And 4. Students have to have a seat at the table when these policies are being made.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. It seems clear that AI is becoming an unbelievable co-pilot in education. It can help navigate through mountains of data and suggest new paths to discovery. But that leaves us with the ultimate question for the future. Who really is in the driver's seat?